one of the things we have to bear in mind is that if you're selling music from one culture into another culture, then you have to be comfortable with your own culture. So middle-aged white guys, some of them can be comfortable with their own culture. I've been listening, and obviously I've been listening, and I'm afraid my song is sad. If I do my job at the end, you'll be crying. It's sad because my bloody computer. Sad because my computer won't open up. It's sad because basically, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the state of the work of the music today, the industry today, which for a long time has been dominated by recorded music, and the impact that that has, particularly on musicians, artists, and all the various support systems that go towards supporting the artist, being part of the artist. Let me just key my in so I can find my notes so that I don't dry up too much. Anybody remember my password? I have to share this computer. I won't. Yeah, well, actually, I better tell you who I am, actually. Yeah, that's the point. Because I'm not who I seem. I'd like to find paper notes as well. My name's Ian Scott, sometimes known as Jan Scott, for complicated and complex reasons. I'm 61 years old. I've worked in music for as long as I can remember, one way or another. Either as a musician busking in London Underground or doing sessions or advertisements and stuff like that, to in working for retail, for Archives Records, managing shops, area managing shops. And then in 1983 I started my own company, and in acoustic music from around the world, a mail order company, which rapidly, fairly rapidly mutated into a record company. You remember record companies? They're dinosaurs. They're dead. Forget record companies. Nothing to do with record companies nowadays. So we gradually grew. We started off with Hakwe Zawusi from Tanzania, who then went on to work with Peter Gabriel. The first release of Sheikh Khaled outside of the North African community, Najma Akhtar, and Mouth Music, a Scottish Gaelic group, and my own particular darling, Asta Aweke, who's an Ethiopian artist now from Ethiopia. Just to say one thing, there is no such thing as world music, so let us not be under any illusions whatsoever. World music is not a music, it is not a genre, it is a marketing term. It is a marketing term, it is something to sell music, because like it or not, we have to monetize this music. And up until now, that the main engine for that monetization process, I didn't even hear the word monetization until recently, the main engine has been recorded music. And really, what we're looking at on a global level is the decimation of value in the recorded music sphere. And we can go through all the various ways of how that's happening. It's important to understand it, how it happens. It's important to understand what the situation is now. Because if we don't understand it, we can't do anything about it. And I haven't, unfortunately, got a final conclusion. I'm 61, I'm going to give up in a couple of years. Hell, I'm going to go on a boat, I'm going to drink whiskey, I'm going to read poetry, and I'm going to play my flute, and it won't be my problem any longer. Right now, it still is my problem. And it's a serious problem, because I've spent my life in this business. And to see this business evaporate, to see this business be considered as an ugly business, I don't want that. Anyway, couple of phrases that give the background to some of this, which is music just wants to be free, coming from information. The system is broke, get over it. Innovate or die. That's a harsh one. The value in music has been decimated for, I think, two main reasons. One of which is that there is a surfeit of music. It's a mathematical calculation. The more music there is, the less the individual units become. They become worth less. I mean, it always used to be that in a market such as, I forgot to say, did I forget to say who I work for? Sorry. Very briefly, I might talk about Indian music, I might talk about African music. I work now mainly for Stearns. I almost went bankrupt with my own company, but I work now mainly for Stearns. I also work at times for Sarigama, who are the inheritors of EMI India, and I also have done work on a fairly regular basis for Union Square Music, who are what they euphemistically call a back catalogue marketing company, which means they put compilations together. The idea that this surfeit of music, never before has it been so easy to get music just at the touch of a button, and in any form and of any kind. It's absolutely, from a music lover's point of view, we have died and gone to heaven several times over. But to repeat, with such a deluge, such a flood of music, as all the artists here know, how the hell do you get heard? How do you get above that maelstrom of sound? You said the sad bit, the problem is you might not. The music business is a cruel and shallow money trench. A long plastic hallway where the thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs. There's also a negative side. That's a quote from Hunter S. Thompson. It's funny, it's reasonably accurate, but it's also one of the problems. There's a colleague of mine who earned a lot more money than ever we did. A couple of years ago, he commissioned some market research. And this market research, it was before the time of the banks. And he got sort of like anecdotal stories, and he said that one of the funny things is that of all the commercial organizations which are available, the only ones who are distrusted more than the banks are record companies. Hang on a second, how did that happen? What did I do to you guys? What? No, what's the only thing worse than banks are record companies? Are we that important to begin with? No way, no way. Record companies have allowed themselves to be portrayed as evil monsters, as ripping off artists. And I'm sorry, but it isn't necessarily the case. For sure there are bad record companies. But in what I have seen, the business practices that I have seen are that the business practices of a record company are no worse, no better, but no worse than any other commercial organization. And record companies did one thing which was really important. They gave you money. And if the project that they gave you money for did not make money, then they did not come round and take that money back. Recoupable, not recoverable. It's in the contracts. It's all there. Now that node point, I mean, you try to get that to it from the bank, that node point has pretty much dissolved because the amount of money that's washing around in the business for the last 12 years has got smaller and smaller. It's diminishing. 50% of the global revenue of recorded music still comes from CDs. But only a couple of days ago, Wall Street Journal reported, supposedly from an inside report, that iTunes, who are the beautiful engine one of the engines, they're quite correct actually. They've, this time, up to this year, they're 14% down on last year. What's growing are streaming services. And streaming services are vital, but streaming services do not give you the income that either CDs gave you or direct downloads gave you. And the elephant in the room is YouTube. The elephant in the room is Google. When I say that the value of recorded music has been decimated, has been taken away, it's not quite correct. What's actually happened is it's been switched. And it's moved away from the record companies, some might say thank God. It's moved away from the artists, nobody would say thank God. And it's moved towards the ISPs, towards the browsers, towards the techie companies. And it's been sustained, and it's been charmed, and it's been cheerleaded by academics such as Lawrence Lessig with their Creative Commons. It's been by bloggers such as Bob Lefsetz with his Lefsetz Letter, Mike Masnick with his Tech Dirt. These guys have an incredible, constituency. People listen to them. The press will report their stuff quite happily, without sort of too much criticism. But all the time, there is value in music. There is value in recorded music. But who's got it? Google's got it. Google sells your music, but it doesn't pay you anything. Every time you see an ad, and you go on a page because of some music, and there's an ad there, are you earning from that? How does this impact directly on artists who work in this area that we've all agreed doesn't exist? Well, the first thing is that if you were a group or an artist who was earning a modicum of income in one currency, dollars, sterling, Deutschmarks, francs, and that was coming in every 6 months or whatever, and you were able to translate that to another currency, the buying power was enhanced. So in other words, it allowed a greater spread. You had an enhanced income. If you were earning in one country, spending in another, you had an enhanced income. Now, with the decimation of that income, then you don't. And that's impacted quite harshly on musics from outside the northern world. I can see it in my own statements. It's just going down, and I know what they used to get, and I know how much that could be translated to. Now it can't be. If the often, when the people say, man, it's broke, get over it, innovate or die, they'll often point to live work. Now, with the best within the world, live work ain't going to give you a solid living, not for a long time anyway. And if it does, it's only for a very few people. Now, this is actually the case for all artists. I mean, none of us are unique in this kind of thing. The problems that we face here are the same basic problems that everybody else. There's only a degrees of nuance. But in live work, there are particular issues with artists coming from outside the West. So if you're coming in, then you're coming from across the sea 3,000 miles away, it's expensive. It's very difficult to do a tour that will sustain you, that will allow you time to build up an audience in the host country. Very, very difficult. Some of the artists, some of the Western artists might be a wee bit jealous because they go, oh, they're getting some maybe Arts Council grant here and this and that, and look, they're getting a nice big sort of middle class audience, because that's largely what you get. You don't get necessarily the youth, you get a sort of an older audience. Going back to the point, if your music is from a different culture, then how does the host culture take it? It's tricky. So it's very difficult to build up the momentum in order to sustain a career in a new country. If you decide you're going to live in a new country and you're going to interact with local musicians, then for better or for worse, you are likely to be discouraged, and you want to retain the element of your music that is unique both to you and your origins, then you're, for sake of argument, let's say Botswana, you're a Botswana artist, and you're working with Irish musicians. So you go along and you can here build up some momentum. You can build up a following. You try going to Belgium. No, I'm not going to take you. We've got our own Botswanan Irish act here. We've got our Belgian Ghanaian act here. We've got our Danish Gambian act. We don't want. So again, these are not that different from the problems that world music that doesn't exist artists face, but they have a certain twist to them. And my heart goes out. It must be very, very, very hard at times. Dead in the water. No, forget it. It's not worth calling.
Hello, I'm Landry, and I am a singer and songwriter myself, and I think that we have to come to terms with the fact that the music business and the music world is changing. And I know that there are people that are artists and they feel like, I can't do it myself, but the new artists that we have today, you have to wear different hats. You have to be a business person, you have to be a promoter, you have to be a marketer, you have to think about different ways to promote yourself. When I came in and I started, I got frustrated and I learned to play the guitar because I put musicians together. After doing that, I had to think about different ways to present myself. I did different sessions tour where I'm going to people's living rooms. If you don't want to book me into the big venues, I'm going to come to your front door. You have to listen to me. You have no choice but to listen to me. I am good, I'm an artist, I write my own music. It might take a long time, but eventually, people will start to take notice and venues will start calling you and giving you residency. So I am a testimony to that. I'm not saying I can book big arenas yet, but it's coming. But you have the sacrifice that I've made over the last 4 years, just promoting myself, putting myself out there. I've had loads of knockbacks who say no, but it doesn't mean I'm stopping. If Mr. A says no, Mr. Z might say yes. So I'll keep knocking until somebody listens and then maybe, I speak for the artists.
We need to ask for help. There are people who may be willing to help and not really charge you for money at that time. They may get something back, but they may not charge you.
But that's the thing, I've pulled in so many favors in this journey, and there are so many friends out there from people who've let me sleep. I mean, if I told you how I've worked these past 2 years, I don't mean worked in the sense of grafting. I mean worked in the sense of pulling on people who love you and who care for you and who are invested in you because they love you and they support you. I've had people taking photos of me when I had no money, my promo photos. I had no money. I'm like, please can you help me with my promo photo? Please can you help me with my video? Please help me with somewhere to stay. Please help me learn how to do Bandcamp. And there's so many people who have been willing to give me their time, their advice. And I think it's I don't know it all. I know not even 1/10 of it, but I've asked for help.
And I hope when you make it, you will remember the story.
Of course.
I think the secret, there is a secret, and it's kind of like an open secret. And the secret is that we need to keep the money in the music. Keep the money in the music. Because all of these things that you're doing, sometimes you can do them yourself, but sometimes you can't do them yourself. And the music industry is a huge, big, amorphous animal. And we all have to, and we all work, we all do things to support, ultimately, the moment that the artist gets on stage and performs. You know, ultimately, the record, whatever it is, but keep the money in music. Go out and win those arguments when somebody says, oh, music, you know, it's free, isn't it? No, it isn't.
And the music needs to be good. The music, I am a listener. I just want to hear good music, not noise.
Can I just say, in answer to your question, one of the things I've noticed quite a lot is that the African promoters tend to be promoting purely to African audiences and their own communities. And if you think about it as a percentage of the market, the majority of the market here isn't African. So if you want to get your music out there, it needs to be kind of a broader promotion than what's currently going on, you know, to find that interest.
Tricky one. Tricky to make sure.
Stearns, would you take on her music at your shop?
Okay.
Would you take on her music at your shop? How can she bring?
We no longer have a shop.
Oh, really? How do you do this? Hold on, please. How can you promote somebody who is not known as Stearns?
How do we do it?
Yeah.
Well, the only way that we would know how we would do it is the old way, which is you'd fall in love with something, and you'd also make a hard mathematical calculation as to whether it was worthwhile.
So you need to listen to her music.
Yeah, but I mean, if I've said anything today, surely what I've said is that ain't working anymore. So. There needs to be quite a profound change in how we can't assume that it's our right to use somebody else's music. If I push something up, permission. This is supposed to be a permissionless innovation. No, it's disrespectful. It's insulting. If you're going to use music, get the permission. Okay, it might be tricky, but bloody get it. It's not yours to use.
Yeah.
Somebody else's.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment. You're from a magazine. You have just said that some promoters, they can bring African artists and they will make millions or a couple of thousands of pounds, which is true. But I just want to ask you as a person who has got a magazine, have you approached any of artists here whom you don't? I know our mentality is that if somebody is not popular, if somebody is not playing Afrobeat, then I won't bother. Have you actually approached some? I can show you. This guy here is a musician, that lady there. There are plenty of them here.
Let him answer the question.
No. Let's, I know we've got more time. So, the attitude, this is what we want to change. You see, I have decided to create something that is going to go somewhere. I don't care whether that person can play a guitar with one string, but if that music is good, I will interview them and I will put them on my channel, because that's what we need to do. We need to start selling people. As I understand, when you look at One Direction, no one can sing. No one. You could even put a bullet in, a gun in their head. I'm finishing. What the point that the point that I'm driving at, let us promote what we have here. You, as a business person, You are going to pay for a band from Nigeria. The flight alone is going to cost you a lot more money than you would have.
JJ, I've been asked we need to really firm this up. He's going to give you a short response. Can you give him a short response, please? And then, because I understand we still need to have a performance tonight.
Yeah, a short response to that. I think Louisa will be a testimony to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same issue that we have. We're having a performance next year across East London. The venue takes 10,000 people, and I specifically told them that we don't want to import any artists from abroad. We want to use local artists.
Thank you. Let's put our hands together.
Global Fusion Music and Arts and AIRTV, and it was basically to try and bring musicians and world music professionals together to try and see what we can do, because the industry is, like Ian Scott said, is failing. So we need to work as promoters. I'm an artist myself, I'm also a promoter, filmmakers. I know it's difficult. But we're not giving up.
Yes.
We're fighting.
We're fighting. We never give up. So what's happening next in Charlton House? I know there's a play on the 14th.
Next Friday, there's a private view of a World War I photographic exhibition then announced. So it's photographs of the period in Greenwich between 1914 and 18.
Wow.
And our photographer's gone out and taken from the same position now. It's a wonderful exhibition. And the private views next Friday is free. There's food, there's drinks. Come along. And
so that's this Friday?
No, Friday the 7th.
The Friday the 7th, okay. What time?
6:30 to 9:30. It's in the Mulberry Tea Rooms.
Okay.
Then we also have a week later an amazing play by one of our writers from the Writers Group, who also runs the bar. And it's about World War I. Wilfred Owen's. That's on the 14th. It's spectacular. There's going to be some amazing effects. And the script is absolutely genius. So do come to that play. It's called All About the Boys, and it's about Wilfred Owen and the World War I.
Oh, thank you very much, Louisa. That's Louisa for Global Fusion Music and Arts. Thank you very much, Royal Green. Sorry, I'll start with you. What's your name? Aubrey Oki.
Oki from Botswana.
Oh, from Botswana.
Yes.
So, are you a musician?
Yes.
You're a musician.
I'm a musician. Yes.
So what kind of music do you play?
I play Afro jazz. My album is at the door. As you enter the door, there's an album called Money with a guy with a hat. This one, dropping in, released last year in September, done through the Global Fusion.
Okay. So if somebody wants, do you sell your music on internet? Can anybody get you on internet if you wanted to? Website?
You can't do it on the internet. You can get it through Global Fusion, or you can get it through Stains Records.
Okay, so we have to come through Global Fusion again.
Yeah, or Stains Records.
Or Stains
online.
Online. Okay. Wow. Thank you very much. And yes, sir. What's your name?
Wala Danga.
Wala Danga.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful names. Where are you from?
I'm from Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Okay. Zimbabwe. Okay. Who is your president again? Robert Mugabe. Yeah. I'm African as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, what is today all about?
Today we're discussing ways forward with world music.
World music or African music?
Well, I would rather call it African music.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we're discussing how do we move it forward from where it is now, in terms of the marketing, all that encapsulates world music.
Okay. And are you a musician yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I used to be a musician. Now I work behind the scenes.
Are you a promoter?
I'm a promoter.
Yes. A promoter. Okay. So if you want to get in touch,
I'm a promoter. I'm a sound engineer. Amongst many others.
Okay. So is there a way?
Music connoisseur.
Okay. Wow. So how can you get in touch with you if anybody wanted to get in touch with you?
You can Google us. We are on Limpopo Productions.
Limpopo Productions.
Yeah,
Okay.
Limpopo Productions. You see us on Facebook, all over the place.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. And I can see also we've got someone. Hi. Okay. Sorry. What's your name?
My name is Alberto Jas.
Obel?
Alberto Jas.
Oh, Alberto Jas. Where is Alberto from?
Sorry?
Where are you from originally?
From the sun.
Where?
Sun.
Sir?
S-U-N. Sun.
The sun. Wow. I never knew the sun is part of the world. That's beautiful. Wow. So which planet is that? Which continent is that? Is it an African continent? That is so funny.
Actually, I was born in Brazil.
Oh, Brazil.
Yeah, I was born in Brazil.
Wow.
African heritage. Ancestor from Ethiopia, from West Africa, basically. Which Aboriginal, Brazilian Aboriginal. Which is my ethnic background.
Okay.
And I have been traveling all over the world for many years. Europe for 24 years, 25 years.
Wow, so what do you play? Do you sing? Do you play musical instruments?
I sing, I songwrite, I sing, I play guitar, percussion, I play bass, keyboard. And I have been producing as well, my staff and the other musicians, including bands from Africa as well, my own studio. Yeah, I have 2 albums released. You can find this in my website, www.albertojazz.com. Jazz spelled J-A-H-S-I-E, jazz.
Okay.
And yeah.
And is this your first time doing a gig in Greenwich? Is this your first time in Greenwich?
In this venue, that's right.
Oh, it's the first time.
I have the pleasure of my brother, Wala, producer. Basically, he was the first producer here in UK. We arrived in 1997 from Germany, from Berlin. I had the privilege to play at the Africa Center. He was the man at the Africa Center. 1998, 1999, we produced a big event called the Zumbi Night, African Brazilian hero, a guy that fought against the slavery 200 years ago, something like that. So we were produced a night. I think we did it 3 times, and this was sold out, something like that. Musicians from Africa, from Brazil, capoeira, my band as well. Terrific, terrific. Yeah.
Wow.
Great stuff.
That is really interesting. I'm actually intrigued about what the subject is today.
Yes.
It's very interesting because I've not heard anywhere else people talking about African music, how they can progress, how they can go forward. So today I'm actually really intrigued with what's happening today. And this is all global fusion, global music, global fusion music and arts with Louisa. That's why I'm really impressed with Global Fusion and what they're trying to do in Greenwich Borough. And I know in Charlton House, there's so many things that happen all the time. But this one, particularly today, is really touched me. Really touched my heart because, like you said, African music, we are somewhere and it looks like we're not moving anywhere. And we need to be together and put heads together and figure out how we're going to move forward. So I think today, I'm very, very intrigued with what's happening today. So what advice can you give our youngsters?
Whew, it's a heavy one. But anyway, the way I look at it, we're in this big global village. For me, I think there's an artist called Manu Dibango who put it very nicely that in Africa, people live in the town, yes?
Yes.
Then they have their spiritual home in the village.
Yeah.
So each time a musician leaves town to go to the village, his spiritual home, they learn something, they take it back into the town, and they mix it whatever they see in town. And I think we should use that as a concept for our new musicians, that we've traveled here, we've come with what we have, we learn what we have here, mix it up and come up with something.
Wow, that is so good, that is so good. Yes, you want to add something?
Yes, regarding your question regarding African music, for me, African music is everything.
Yes.
If you go historically, if you go into the roots.
We're deep in the roots, yeah.
Yes, the pop music, what you call pop music, the music you play all over the world.
Yes.
the root, the base is one, just coming from Africa. So we just guys, when you say just funk, just reggae, just samba, just mambo, just merengue, just Spanish music, in reality, the music is just African music.
Exactly.
But the mainstream, the media stuff like that, they distorted it. They call African music what's basically made in Africa. But it's scientifically proved everything is African music.
It's African music.
Including classical music, there is influence of the African music. Rock music, Bach composed many years ago, the kind of rhythm,
there's elements of African music.
The root,
yeah.
The Greeks, many years ago, they were in Africa. Plato, the great philosopher, his uncle, his grandfather was in Africa, in Ethiopia, at the time was Abyssinia.
Yeah.
He brought a lot of influence for Greek. This 3,000 years ago, so he brought music as well. So Greek music, Spanish music, Brazilian music, always African music, which is the way I understand.
Thank you.
I don't call my music funk or blues or samba or mambo. I call my music music. If you ask somebody, what kind of music you do, I say good music.
Good music. Wow, that's a good answer. That's very good. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much.